everybody, and welcome to the Blizzard Watch podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about Blizzard and its games, and sometimes other things, but we're not to obsessive levels. Not that the pre-show would convince you of that. With me this week are my two fantastic co-hosts, Liz Harper and Joe Perez, and we're going to just jump right into this because there's a lot of stuff either happening today or in the weeks to come. I'm going to just straight up go to the fact that Wrath of the Lich King Classics Phase 2 is now live. I believe Ulduar is in 2 days. Is that right?
Yes, Ulduar is on the 19th. So depending on when you're listening to this, it could be slightly in the future or slightly in the past.
Yes, or maybe if you're listening to it 150 years from now to try and determine what happened to humanity, what are these people talking about? What language is this? What is it will be very many hundreds of years. But regardless, I'm actually really interested in the stuff they're doing in Phase 2. They've buffed the item level on pretty much every single Ulduar drop, by about 20 item levels. And that's because they want Ulduar to remain a destination even after Trial of the Crusader comes out. Because if you remember, if you were playing back in Wrath, the second Trial hit with its extra 5-man and extra raid, people abandoned Ulduar in droves because the gear was better.
Why? Why do it?
Yeah, exactly. So they're basically making Ulduar gear competitive with Trial gear so that people will continue to run Ulduar even after Trial comes out. In a weird sort of way, this kind of feels like demoting Trial to a side raid. Instead of Trial being the next raid tier, it turns into a side raid to Ulduar. I don't mind that. I just think it's interesting.
I mean, we also don't know where they're going to buff Trial drops. We know that they intend to give Ulduar some breathing room, which I assume means that the Ulduar tier will last longer and before we get to Trial of the Crusader. But maybe they're going to keep buffing gear because they have this interesting kind of gear philosophy where, okay, now the Naxxramas tier is done, so now the 10-man Naxxramas gear is going to be available in 5-person dungeons, and all the Naxxramas gear is 25-person gear. So it's like everything's gotten bumped up a level, and then you go to Ulduar, which has also been bumped up kind of a level from where it was originally. And then, in maybe 3 or 4 months, we're going to get the next phase with Trial of the Crusader. Maybe it will be bumped up again, and we'll kind of see this sort of progression where everything gets bumped up a little every phase so that all content remains kind of a viable option to keep playing.
I mean, I think Naxxramas will fall off, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but
it is interesting to think about if they decide that Titan Rune dungeons will then start dropping Ulduar 10 gear, and then we'll start dropping Trial 10 gear. There is certainly some room for that to happen, and it would be interesting. But regardless, that's coming. That's either out now or coming in the next week or two. We know Ulduar is in 2 days. Also, Hearthstone Battlegrounds Season 3 is live today, I believe. It's live whether or not you're listening to this on Tuesday. If you're not listening to it live, there is no time from the recording of this onward where it isn't live. It's live already. But we've talked about that a few times. What exactly is coming to Season 3, Liz?
Season 3, they just they do a new rotation with new mechanics, and they kind of just it's a reset sort of on the game mode. You have a new rewards track to progress through. And this time they're adding undead minions and dual type minions to the game. I think dual type are going to be really cool and going to shake up the kind of the meta there because you can create different just combos because Battlegrounds is super, super based on the warband you have, which means the type of minions you have on the board because things buff each other and have synergies together. So usually you try and create these warbands that are all made of the same type of minions. And this is going to open that up because you have minions with 2 types, maybe create some hybrids. I have not had a chance to go in and play it yet. I usually play on my iPad. I love playing Hearthstone on my iPad. I can just sit on the couch, and just with my iPad in my lap and just kind of play this while the TV's on. I really like being able to play on my iPad. But mobile versions usually go out a little later than desktop versions. So I have not gotten the update on the Hearthstone client with the new stuff.
Okay. And while we're talking about stuff that's out or stuff that will be coming out, Overwatch 2 is having its Lunar New Year event. They're not the only one having one. World of Warcraft will be having one as well. But the Overwatch 2 one, the reason we're bringing it up is because you've got until next week, I think, to get the Twitch drop for the Mask Dance Moira. At least that was the impression I got from reading the post. So you can still go to Twitch and watch an Overwatch 2 stream and get yourself the special Mask Dance skin for Moira. If that's something you want to do. It's a very cool looking skin. I mean, he's saying this is somebody who doesn't play Moira and never really has. It looks really interesting.
Overwatch has some great, really amazing visual design. So all of their skins are just super cool.
I think, like it's this really awesome purple and red and green. It's very bright. And you've got till January 25th. You just got to watch various Twitch. You can also get the Lion Roar victory pose, I believe, which you just need to watch for 2 hours. And then after you get that, you watch for 4 more hours and you get the Masked Dancer legendary skin for Moira. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You just watch some Twitch. You have to watch Overwatch on Twitch. You can't just watch any Twitch. If you happen to find badminton,
and it has
Twitch
to be a
really
stream with drops enabled.
Yes, absolutely. But with those caveats, you have till the 25th. Since it's the 17th now, that's basically till next Wednesday from the time we are recording this. So yeah, that's if you want to get that, you can do so for the next week, which I think is pretty cool. You got some time. But now let's switch into more important news. The Quest Are You Kidding Me that we talked about last week is still broken. It's still not working when people get it. It's still messed up. Apparently, one solution is to toggle into war mode.
Yeah, that's a solution for a lot of the weird bugginess that happens.
I don't know why that works, but go ahead, Liz.
I've also heard you can realm hop, get into groups with players on other realms and kind of move over there because it could be working on one realm and not working on another. I think that's what happens with war mode is it like shifts you over to another like shard.
Yeah, and for that matter, apparently when you are doing it, if it's not the first block that bugs out, if the first one is there, you can then, even if all the rest of them don't spawn, you can theoretically be airlifted or ported up to the top to complete it. But only if the first one is there, because part of the quest is clicking on the first one is the thing that actually triggers the quest. So if that one's gone, you can't do anything because the quest won't even start. That's like an actual move that starts the quest. So, yeah. But I just felt it's very important that we keep you informed on this, Are You Kidding Me quest? Because last week I found out about it. I didn't know about it before. And I'm like, if they got a quest where I have to save kittens, and by old Jimbo, there has to be kittens for me to save. You can't go having a quest where I save kittens and then don't have the kittens. That's just crazy. That's crazy.
I mean, I think the kittens are there. We just can't get to them.
No,
which is horrible.
Apparently, if it's the first block, they won't even be there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, well,
that's why you can't airlift yourself up to save them. They touching the first block apparently triggers the quest to start and spawns the kittens in.
So maybe the kittens rescued themselves, and we just don't have to worry about it.
But now I'm annoyed with the world for not getting to save those kittens. So yeah, but now we will actually talk about things that are slightly more, I want to say, relevant. Diablo 3's season 28 PTR is coming at some point in this month. We don't know when exactly, but it's I believe the language here is towards the tail end of January. So we're going to get to see what season 28's theme is and so forth. And keep in mind, this might be the last season.
Yeah, very, very true.
I have been wondering about that.
Yeah, we don't know if they're going to continue. Yeah, they haven't made any announcements about if Diablo 3 is going to get more seasons after Diablo 4 drops. They might go into a complete maintenance mode and recycle them. I don't know.
But you also see, right now we have Diablo 2 out there being super successful. Maybe there's room for 4 Diablo games to be live and regularly updated at the same time. That sounds really awesome to me, to have so much Diablo to play.
Choose your flavor.
Which I will never have time to play. But it sounds really cool to have all of them. But I do wonder, I've been kind of looking at what the schedule for the year is probably going to be like. And I was like, will this keep happening or not? Because they are going to have seasons in Diablo 4. So are they just going to kind of shove the staff over and everyone's working on making sure Diablo 4 seasons are super awesome? I don't know.
Yeah, no idea. It's quite possible they could just go back to the first season and just start over, just repeat it. Like it'd be Diablo 3 Classic or something. Really
I mean,
don't
that
know.
could be cool.
It could be.
They should just have the double Treasure Goblin season up like all the time.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. But yeah, that's going on. But meanwhile, we now know when patch 10.0.5 is coming out for Dragonflight. It's going to be January 24th. The patch is on the PTR right now. For example, I'm currently working on the post about what the trading post has got for it, and there's some interesting stuff on there. Some of it's brand new, some of it's older stuff, some of it's brand new versions of older stuff that's a different color or something like that. There's a staff that is basically the same staff that dropped both in Burning Crusade and in the Hellfire Citadel raid for Warlords. It's the same. It's the Edict of Argus model, but it's purple, which means that you're either a Shadow Priest or Mace Windu. But regardless, so there's a lot of interesting stuff there. There's also going to be, various other, like a lot of class changes, quite a lot of class changes. I don't want to say there's no new content, but it's still going to be season 1. We're not getting a new raid. I don't believe we're getting any new dungeons. So it's mostly class balance changes.
No.
No, not class balance changes?
I was saying no new dungeons or anything like that.
All right, cool.
Was what I was trying to communicate. Not very well.
But yeah, basically, this is going to set up the fact that once that's on the live servers, it seems very likely that if they want to keep the release schedule that they themselves put out, like at the end of last year, 10.0.7 has to be on the PTR almost like I would not be surprised to see it on January 25th. I don't know that it's going to be that day, but I wouldn't be surprised because that's got the entire Forbidden Reach new zone. It's an old zone, but it's got new content for everybody now. Mm-hmm. That's coming in. We know that we're going to see a bunch of other things added into that. Like we're going to get the heritage armor quests for humans and orcs. And I know guys, there's like 16 different armor sets for orcs and humans that look like they could be considered a heritage armor set, but they're technically not heritage armor sets. So I'm still excited about this. But that's coming as well. I forget what the last thing is. I just wrote a post about this, and I don't remember what the third thing that we're getting and is. My brain already went like, well, that's done. But yeah, there's that. There's those two things and a third thing. If somebody wants to talk for a while, I'll go look it up. Joe, please.
I don't know even where to go. Like I've literally just been letting you run with it.
Well, I could bring up the thing that I just posted in chat that I missed earlier. About
actually, that'd be great.
In China,
holiday updates. Holiday updates are coming.
Oh,
go ahead about China.
Yes, World of Warcraft in China, as we did previously know, is shutting down on January 23rd, which sounds completely insane to me that they're just closing up shop in China. And this is not because of any kind of protest or problem with China. So it's not like a statement Blizzard is making. It's just their contract with NetEase to distribute the game in China is expiring. And they have not been able to negotiate a new contract. Apparently, they had a proposal to NetEase to extend their current contract by 6 months so people wouldn't be kicked out of the game on January 23rd. And NetEase said no. So the game is, in fact, shutting down on January 23rd in less than a week. Blizzard is continuing to search for new partners in China, but nothing yet. This is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's really kind of, I don't want to say tragic because, it's not tragic, but it is really bad for the people who've been playing WoW for years now in China and who suddenly will just, their stuff. We don't know that their stuff will be gone because it's quite possible that Blizzard could find somebody eventually and bring the servers back up, but this could be the end for them. We don't know. The way China does these things is really very hard to explain. The government's very involved, and you have to have a trading partner in order to do things, and there's a lot of controls, and I am not an expert on these things, so I hesitate to say more, but it is an issue.
Well,
I stopped so you could talk.
I think we can say that Blizzard needs a Chinese business to operate the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like they need a Chinese partner in this. They can't just go and run the game in China. They need a partner.
Yeah, and part of that is
they've lost NetEase, so
And part of that is because, like, legitimately, you can't have people in foreign countries connect to your servers. In China, like, connecting out to, like, your local servers, like, they can't just set up a bank of servers in, like, Irvine and say, here you go. All these players can now connect to this server that we set up. It doesn't work like that because, like Matt pointed out, the government is super involved, which is why they need operating partners in those regions in order to do that. And they also have to have a lot of stuff in country. Like an obscene amount of stuff in country in order to operate. And that's not just, Blizzard, that's any video game or any software company. So
yeah, that's happening.
They have posted a way to back up your game and account data. So, like, apparently there is some way to save your everything, assuming they eventually get a new partner and bring everything back up. But, I mean, this sounds like it's going to take time. Even if they find a new partner and sign a deal tomorrow, we're going to lose... Chinese players are going to lose WoW. And that's just, it's very sad.
No word yet on what's going to happen to the WoW theme park over there. The one that is in no way, shape, or form affiliated with Blizzard and yet still has Arthas statues all over it. But, we'll find out. Okay, so that's that. We've already covered that 10.0.5 and 10.0.7 are both closer than we would have thought. I'm also going to mention that the Inspiration Catalyst, which is essentially just a revamp of the Catalyst from the end of Shadowlands that can turn gear that isn't tier into tier gear. That's coming next week, probably around reset time. I mean, I heard the 23rd, but technically speaking, the reset's 24th. So I'm assuming it's going to be the 24th. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
We'll see when we see. Yeah.
But regardless, I will say this for the Inspiration Catalyst. It is not the most convenient location I've ever heard to put something, in that you have to fly from Valdrakken to Tierhold and then find there's 2 windows up on the top level that you have to be able to get to, which means you're going to basically need to be doing a reasonably good job flying yourself over there. It's doable. I did it today, but it is not fun. And also make sure you get the right one, because there's 2 of them and I couldn't tell you which one is the actual one flying at them. I just had to pick one and go and say, okay, I hope this is the one.
Maybe they'll add a flight path or a teleport pad or something.
I think they're probably just going to add another one of those things you can fly your mount over and get a boost. They love that. And they love doing them right in front of walls. So you have to like go, oh, up. But yeah, that's happening
also,
next week.
Also for the Catalyst, when we were talking about this, if you don't know, unlike before, it's not going to have a currency, but you are going to have to do a quest to get a charge.
Similar to Spark of Invention stuff.
But that charge is account-wide.
Mm-hmm.
So, just to throw that up there.
Isn't you just do world quests and it fills them up? I think that's what the article I read said. So,
I forgot what the actual like mechanism is for it, but it's nice that it's not just going to be throwing another currency at us, because while it was definitely easy to get the currency, it was just annoying to track another currency. We don't need more currencies.
I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at the various currencies I'm currently carrying around to attempt to upgrade gear from the Elemental Invasions. 2 currencies for that. Then there's 2 currencies for the War Mode PvP gear. Then there's another currency just for everything in Dragonflight. And then there's all the rep stuff. Yeah, no, I don't know what you're talking. Help me, God.
Or the 6 or 7 inventory slots I have devoted to Tuskar fishing gear upgrade items.
Let's not talk about Tuskar fishing items. I don't want to start crying. But regardless, at this point, I think we're going to move on to do, unless either of you have anything else, because sometimes I say this and then you guys immediately have another idea. So do you have any other ideas, or should we move on to?
We should probably talk about the pet and the mount that was released.
Pet and the mount. Okay, good.
Bunny.
You guys talk.
Bunny.
It's for the new.
You talk, Joe.
Yeah, it's for the new 6-month subscription. If you are one of those 6-month subscribers, you can either get an adorable little bunny, which in no way, shape, or form is a murderer, as a pet in Wrath Classic. Bunnies are always suspect, folks. Always be wary of them in video games. But it is absolutely adorable. When in the retail game, you go ahead and get yourself a bunny made out of water, because we had a cat made out of water, and now we have a bunny, because last year was Year of the Tiger, now it's Year of the Rabbit. So of course we're going to get a rabbit. It's actually really cool. I got it in game earlier today because I didn't even realize it was coming out, and then I just saw this thing pop up that said, "Hey, redeem this," and I'm like, okay. And then I had a cute little adorable bunny mount to ride around on. Liz, do you have anything you want to say about that?
Noises.
It does. It's squishy, splashy.
Splashing noises.
Does it clean its face?
No.
I haven't actually sat long enough to see its idle animation though.
Yeah, I need to know if it cleans its face. If it cleans its face, I may have to get it because that is the cutest things bunnies do is the little face cleaning.
That's fair.
I mean, the biggest problem with getting new mounts is like this is Dragonflight and the Dragon Isles. We can only fly on dragons. I cannot ride this adorable bunny mount. And all I want now is a bunny mount that can fly like a dragon so I can soar through the skies on a tiny bunny going at plus 900% mount speed.
Yeah, like before we move on, like that's something that I know will probably never happen, but it is my bucket list thing for Dragonflight to be able to like designate a normal flying mount as a dragon riding mount because I really like the dragon riding system, but like I have that cool fox wyvern that I got from doing that thing that, you know, I can fly in the old world, but I like dragon riding. And don't get me wrong, the dragon riding mounts are really customizable, but they keep giving us really cool mounts. Like, let me use them, please. Again, I know it'll never happen, but I would be very happy if it did. I'm
just surprised that we can't use our dragons that we already have. Like, I have several dragon mounts. Why can't I dragon ride on them? They're dragons.
What about my nether drake? I worked so hard 15 years ago to get that thing. I want a reason to fly around on it. Come on. Do this for me, Blizzard.
Unfortunately, they probably won't because, you know, you can't have good things like anything.
I just want a flying bunny, okay? Is that too much to ask? Come on, Blizzard.
Flying rabbit would
help me out here. Work with me.
Yeah, they should, you know, it should be kind of like when they had like flying unlocks in previous expansions. There should be like a quest line and then unlock a mount for Dragonflight as using dragon riding. And then you like could do it over and over again for every mount you have that you want to unlock. And wow, isn't that repeatable content? Some of you have a couple hundred mounts. Good luck. You know, a
couple hundred. Yeah. That's
Yeah, I've got like 140 and I don't even try. So I'm sure other people have way more than that. But regardless, I think at this point we are going to move on and start looking at your questions, guys. If you have a question for the show, you can send it to the email address podcast@blizzardwatch.com with the subject line podcast or Blizzard Watch, so we know it's for this show, as opposed to the other 507 that we're doing. I don't know. We're doing a lot of other podcasts. If you want to ask us questions on Discord instead of via email, sure. We've got a Discord server, and you can go to the Patron Q and Podcast Questions channel if you are a patron. And if you're not a patron, you can go to the Podcast Q and Podcast Questions channel, which is not for non-patrons, and you can ask there. We're totally okay with you not being a patron because we understand that life is hard and stuff is weird. But, you know, we do like to let patrons go first because they help keep the lights on and this site going. This time we're just going to say, Joe, you read.
All right. So this one comes from Saxmacker? Okay, that's a name. Leveling in Dragonflight is at WoW's all-time best, in my opinion. I'm leveling experience this expansion. I have been noticing a lot of level boosting sales recently and thought it was unreal how fast the boosters get it done. I have been seeing people getting 1 to 70 in sub 5 hours. The method they are using is farming mobs in Cobalt Assembly and are just pumping out XP. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Is it good or bad for the game to be able to bust out levels so fast? Thank you for your time and hope to finally get a question on one of the podcasts. Well, you did. And there's a PS buff disc priests. Get in line. Sorry. Short version, I don't really care how people level, and I don't think the speed at which they level really matters because WoW has been an end game content game for a very long time. Like, it's all been about getting to max level, going through and doing stuff at max level for, I mean, really since what? Cataclysm?
I think, since original WoW. I remember that everything was all about getting to 60 so we could start raiding Molten Core. Like, that was the thing, man. Everybody was like, when I was at level 40, I was like from level 44 to level 47 for a very long time, like, several days. And I remember everybody like, you need help? Like, they were like really concerned that I wasn't getting there. And I was like, somebody told me to go level in Tanaris. Turns out there's nothing in Tanaris. So yeah, unrelated. But yeah, I will say that I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, I am not very receptive to booster services, because booster services are usually done by the same kind of mass automation that you see in gold farming, and usually by the gold farmers or people who do gold farming, like Steve Bannon. Yeah, Steve Bannon was. Anyway, yeah. So I don't like that grouping.
I
feel
also
like
don't like that group.
Yeah, the WoW token was designed to try and curb it, but they just keep finding new ways to gouge people.
And the fact that you can buy a level boost now too, straight up.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, still people find ways to get people to let them do it.
They are just super expensive. I mean, a level boost is like $60.
Aren't they even more now?
Particularly.
No,
I think they're I think they're still 60.
They're 60.
They were parts of the expansion, so that whatever the baseline cost for Dragonflight was is what they were. But
no, they're 60 plus. They're 60 for whatever plus whatever VAT.
Okay, I haven't bought one, so I didn't know.
Yeah, I've never bought one standalone. You get one. I mean, you do get one with expansion purchases, but I have not bought a standalone. I haven't used my last level boost. I don't know what to use it on.
I mean, maybe you don't need to. If you have all the characters you want to play already at the levels you want to play them, then just hold on to it and you can use it next expansion.
It's like I have it. It feels like I should use it. I just don't know what to use it on.
Burning a hole in Liz's virtual pocket.
I mean, it's been burning a hole in my pocket for a while. It's just every time I log in, it's like the little icon up there. You have a level boost.
And the other thing I would say is like leveling itself is pretty quick in general. Like I don't think people need to resort to level boosting services. And honestly, I think they really should stay away from those in general. But like leveling from 1 to 70, it doesn't take very long in a natural way. Like, I don't know about that sub 5 hours. That's like some hardcore grinding or some hardcore like manipulation of it. But
yeah, I think that's basically they get a warlock to summon this person
to areas they shouldn't be.
And then they basically have their raid group of people following him around, and once he tags something, they annihilate it. It's the same. We've seen people who weren't using level boosting services do this. I can't remember his name, but the guy who used to boost himself up constantly did it, and he wasn't. He's not Des Mephisto. He was somebody else. But you guys know the one I'm talking about. He used to constantly. I remember specifically in Mists of Pandaria, he used to go around just constantly getting groups of people to follow him around, and every time he would tag mobs, they would just annihilate them, and he'd get XP for it. And that's basically what they're doing at Cobalt Assembly. It doesn't upset me or offend me or anything, but it certainly doesn't feel like a fun gameplay. And given my druthers, I'd rather not mindlessly grind on people at Cobalt Assembly all day, but I'm not going to get too upset or anything like that either. Liz, what do you think?
And it's also like, so much of Dragonflight in particular is about exploring and discovering things. And it seems kind of a bummer that you would just, grind on things and finish leveling. And that's it. You're done. You're leveled up and that's done. Game done. But I have thought what the boosting services are doing lately is have the two of you been seeing a lot more ads from boosting services in game?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, like
100%.
I've gotten some on my in-game calendar. They send out raid invites and they're like, go to our website and pay us lots of money so we can run you through this raid. And even the day the raid came out, you had these boosting services advertising mythic raid carries for $2,000. And it's that's really optimistic because literally no one in the world has cleared this raid yet. And you're offering to carry me through it for a scant $2,000.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I get bored and I have nothing else to do, and it's 2:00 in the morning and I can't sleep, I'll log into game and I will find I'll just spend time refreshing the pre-made group lists and going through those and reporting every single one of them repeatedly because it just makes me feel better. I know it really does nothing, but they'll eventually they're just gonna keep going. They're just gonna keep making them, but it makes me feel good for about 5 minutes.
You can at least slow them down.
That's the opposite of what I do, which is I contact them and then basically just string them along until they finally get fed up and cut off contact. How do I pay you? Do you guys take money? How do I give you the money? Like, I've got a lot of gold. Oh no, you don't want gold?
Matt's going to become the Kitboga of what Kitboga is to spammers on the internet. Matt's going to be that with the level boosters and the services.
I've been doing it since like the carries through. Do you remember like the Siege of Orgrimmar carries? How bad they were?
Oh yeah,
I was doing it with those, and I'd say like I can't go into Valdrakken without seeing at least 3 spam comments like while I'm there. At least 3. And the thing is that this server I'm on is not a tremendously active one. It's like, so I can't imagine what it's like on a big server. Like, you guys are in Drendon, right?
Yeah. We're on Drendon, yep.
Yeah, and Drendon's like actually got a healthy population.
Ish. Compared
to where I am, it absolutely. But regardless, yeah, it is. I don't think any of us are particularly on board with spammers, trying to sell carries or whatever. But that doesn't mean we think it's necessarily a problem that needs a lot of solving. I think it was like, I was reading an article actually about split raids for Mythic Plus progression. And one of the people, I think at Liquid, said that he hated them, that they all hated them, that the split raids were just awful. But it's the situation where, well, what should Blizzard do about it? And he's like, nothing. Like, we're less than 1% of the player base. You want to make it harder for everybody else to trade gear and get stuff because, 1% of crazily motivated people are willing to do crazy motivated things to get further faster? No, you'd be ruining the game for like 95% of the players. So I feel that way about this. Like, sure, there's going to be people who take advantage of it, and sure, there's going to be people who, are misrepresenting themselves and taking advantage of people trying to take advantage of it, but it's not really worth, like, any kind of response feels like it would be too draconian, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I don't think any of us like these paid services that are running people through raids, and I mean, like, paid for cash. There have always been
I'm okay with like,
services.
Yeah,
those are completely within Blizzard's terms of service. And if you're really good making gold, but maybe not really good at raiding, you can spend that gold, go to the raid, make it happen. But these services that are, like, we'll level your character for X amount, we'll run you through Vault of the Incarnates for X amount. It's just, these are real shady. And also against the terms of service, you can get in trouble. And also, if you give anyone your account information, you're probably never going to see your account again. It's all sorts of bad things rolled up together.
Yeah, it's like a turducken of bad.
Yeah.
Which means it's like a turducken. Okay, but yeah, I think that answers your question. So if you don't mind, I think we're going to move on to the next one, and that means Liz gets to read.
Well, this is a question specifically for Joe, so I will read it, and we can ask Joe for his take. This one is from LD Soth. Greetings, watchers. LD Soth with a what if question that Joe should take the lead on. A magic wand is waved, and Tuskar are now a playable race. What classes would they be? Shaman seems an obvious. And I can also see a strong case made for Druid and Hunter, but what else? Given their general philosophy, I don't see them being warlocks at all. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. So, Joe, what do you think?
First of all, thanks, Lord Soth, because everybody knows my extreme love of the Tuskar race. They're my favorite WoW race. Shaman is a no-brainer. We already know they have them. We've literally, this expansion, they have special totems made specifically for them that we've never seen before. So that's a thing. Hunters, absolutely. They definitely have the hunter pet thing going on. I actually think there's a really strong case for warriors as well. I think that Tuskar warrior seems natural because they have sort of like that like old, like, I don't want to say like old guardy feel, but like they have like the guards of hearth and home sort of feel about them where, yeah, if somebody shows up, I can see one of them bringing out like a giant whale tooth that they carved into a maul and be like, all right, well, it's time to go and you need to leave now. And then going all ham on them with, like, wielding 2 one-handed giant clubs and just beating them down while wearing plate armor. I could see that. I agree that they definitely don't seem like they would embrace the idea of warlocks. I do think that they would potentially start after the events of in-game, probably asking about becoming mages if they haven't already, because they just spent a whole lot of time with Caligos. Khadgar's not too far away. It's only a matter of time before they go, your magic seems funny. Let's talk about it. Can you show me how to throw a fireball? Wait a minute, I can make mirror images of myself so I'm never alone? You mean I can have an audience to tell my stories to? Great.
I'm going to stop you right now because I think this is implying that they don't have mages now.
I don't think we've seen a Tuskar mage.
That doesn't mean they don't have them. They know where the ley lines are.
It's true.
They call them gleam caves. I think that Tuskar, there's an old tradition in actual occultism called knot tying, where instead of having like incantations or chants or what have you, people will tie elaborate webs of like twine in together into these knots. And I think the Tuskar nets are a really good way you could work that in.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
can see
normal
that.
practice. I honestly think that, some of the people you see that you think are shaman are actually mages.
Entirely possible.
That Tuskar shaman and mages are basically just two flavors of the same thing. Much like you've got the mage, the shaman for the Kultirans call themselves, tide priests and look like priests, but they're actually shaman. I think it's much of the same way.
Entirely possible.
I'm jumping on that one.
Although I do want to also see Tuskar rogues because stealthy Tuskar would make my heart.
We're gonna let Torin do it.
If Torin can be stealthy, Tuskar can totally be stealthy.
Tuskar at least don't have giant hooves.
What do you guys think?
I mean, I think clearly Tuskar need a fishing class that only Tuskar can be. I mean, we've got Drakthir with their own race class combination. Let's go with Tuskar, and they're the only class that can have these weird fishing abilities.
Ooh, they could be the only. They could be the spear throwing class. That could be their entire shtick.
That would be good.
Yeah, because the
that would be
harpoons.
fun.
Deadliest Catch, was that the show?
Yeah, I think that was the show. Yeah,
feel like this bunch of Tuskar on a boat, constantly trying to catch extremely large crabs and getting, eaten by them and fighting back. And yeah, okay, I'm down with these Tuskar fishers.
I mean, that a spear throwing class would be great. That's a theme we haven't seen before.
Bring over the Javazons from Diablo 2. Just make them Tuskars. It's fine.
Yes.
Only if they wear the same breastplates.
I genuinely have no particular love or hate for Tuskar, but I would totally play that class.
I do also want to see them be druids and just turn into sharks because Grawl, they worship Grawl. I mean, why not? Let's go.
The problem with that is that, they're going to be floating around in a giant bubble.
Hey, we just talked about D&D a little bit on the pre-show. There are land sharks. Land sharks can absolutely be a thing.
All right, sure. I'd be happy with Bullet. If I'm going to jump in, I don't know, Liz, you have anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay. I'm going to say up front that both warriors and death knights are in every race but Drakthir can be a warrior or a death knight. So I'm going to say Tuskar can be too. Now, does that really, you don't think a death knight really works for Tuskar, but I mean, if you've ever actually seen Cocoon, you know full well that you can get Wilford Brimley to be really aggressive.
And not only that, but I mean, they're in Northrend. They're not too far from the Citadel. They know what was going on. Yeah.
Well, and for that matter, if you ever seen the movie The Thing, Wilford Brimley literally gets turned into one of the Thing monsters. So yeah, I can honestly imagine, a Tuskar channeling the power of death. He'd probably carve runes into his tusks, or she would carve runes into her tusks. But I think that they would definitely be on the outside of their society. Whereas the Demon Hunter Tuskars I'm suggesting, and I'm not kidding. People think I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. Demon Hunter Tuskar. Why? Because I don't think that they would I think everyone would be surprised that Illidan gets along with Tuskar. He totally does, though. And also because I think the other race we're going to get if we get Tuskar is playable Murlocs. And playable Murlocs, there's already a Murloc Demon Hunter. We know that they have them. So yeah, if the Murloc race is going to get into the game and get to be Demon Hunters, you got to let Tuskar be Demon Hunters. It's just fair. Finally, I think Paladins, because there's absolutely no reason. Most Tuskar would go great with the Paladin ethos. Instead of by the light, it'd be like, do you need a help? Do you need some soup? You look like you need some soup. I will go beat up all those monsters, get you some soup, and I will come right back with the soup unless you want me to carry you to the soup.
I mean, it's good soup.
My legs are broken. Okay. You stay here. Try to hide. I'm here. You can have an axe. I'm going to go get the soup. And just literally wade through all these demons. And I know it sounds funny, and I am telling it funny on purpose, but at the same time, I'm not kidding. I think that this Tuskar Paladin might be the closest class to how they act. Like every interaction I've had with Tuskar so far is extremely paladin-like. Like it's like, yeah, I will totally help you with whatever your thing involving the caves is, but right now these people are hurt and I have to help them. If you can help me help them, then I can help you. That's a very paladin statement. It's like, I've just got to do this first because these people are really in trouble, and then we'll go on and we'll go destroy your corrupted, your rot cave or whatever, and free your stuff. And yeah, you can come. Then we'll all go have some soup. Yeah,
I'm totally into that.
Yeah, I seriously am not kidding about this. I think Paladin is first of all, I think Paladin is an underserved class as it is. I don't get why we don't have more Paladins by now. We've got more than we had, but I don't, like, when was the last time? I think the Zandalar and the Dark Irons were the last ones to get Paladins. Mm-hmm. If Zandalar and Dark Iron can be Paladins, anybody can be Paladin. Stop telling me we can't have Forsaken Paladins. We've literally got a Scourge Paladin. There's a guy, as a boss in Naxxramas. He's a Paladin. He channels the light. He's still doing it. You're fighting him and he's hitting you in the face with the light. If he can do it, then, Jawless Joe or whatever can be a Paladin. I mean, also we can put a Joe back on ice. I don't like the undead with them. Really kind of freak. Anyway, but seriously, Paladins, I'm not kidding. Also, Night Elf power.
But I think that we can move on to the next one, yeah?
Sure, yeah.
All right, well, this one comes from Yarrick. Hello again. Oh, this is a Lore Watch one that Matt stole. Shaking fist.
Keep reading.
But I'm going to give this question to Blizzard Watch for the mechanics of it. Okay. The pick your Black Dragon aspect idea is intriguing, but could Blizzard hold off 10.3 development and the final decision to the player base votes who to side with, a la Jason Todd, A Death in the Family? I think it would be a much better form of player engagement and agency than what we had in BFA. For those of you that are not familiar, the reference to Jason Todd's Death in the Family, there was a comic campaign, the 80s at this point, right? Like it was like mid 80s. Where you actually got to call in, write in, and vote on which of the members of the Batman family basically died.
I think it was just, should Robin die or not? I don't think anybody else was involved.
No, I think it was several, because there was a couple of people up in there, like, you could vote, and the one who had the least amount of votes was the one that would bite it. The problem is that we run into a world where running campaigns like that are very tricky, because the trolls like to come out and start tanking things immediately. You'd have to have a ton of controls in place to make sure that people voted once and only once, or you'd have to make sure that you had a situation where you couldn't be DDoSed to keep people from voting, because people love to do that. Also, I don't know if that's good for creative design. Like, I get the idea behind the intent. Like, it's a good idea in practice, but also a lot of the stuff with the story that's being developed right now, they're planning this stuff out months in advance, sometimes years in advance. So they already know what the answer is going to be. They already know what it's going to do, like where it's going to go. Could they change it? Sure, maybe. But then it could also change the trajectory of stories that's going to happen later on or next expansion.
Remind me to tell you about Armageddon 2001 and what happened to Hawk sometime. Because that's when people have a plan and then it gets leaked and people decide, we have to change the plan. And thus everything that they had planned is now just gone. It can be really detrimental to just throw out a decision you've already made, because then you have to scramble to make a new one.
Yeah, it's like the butterfly effect too. Like, you don't know what the ripples are going to be from that. Liz, do you have an opinion on it?
I don't precisely, except that the Dragon popularity contest seems really weird, because you can just go for maximum reputation with both of them and there are no consequences and no one cares. You can just be best friends forever with both of them. And I mean, that's fine. That makes it not a hard choice that you have to make and stick to forever, even as you learn more about these characters, which possibly I hope we learn more about what Spellion's up to in the future and we learn more about what Wrathion has planned. But it's just weird. It's like, because it's a popularity contest. There's nothing hard and fast to it. We're just, okay, we're going to be over here helping out. And apparently these dragon dudes like that, and now we're best friends forever.
See,
it doesn't feel impactful.
No, it doesn't, but I have to be upfront. I see it as me basically making myself like useful to both of them. So eventually I can get them both in the room and go, now kiss. Because I am seriously, they have such enemies to friends to, if we weren't related, we'd be smooching. That their energy is astonishing.
And also to put it out there, auto look in chat, because you should be here for our live show, folks. Makes a good point. Remember when we were voting for the next war chief and basic campfire won? How'd that work out?
I mean, he was robbed.
I think that basic campfire would have actually done a better job than the actual war chiefs we got. So
if a basic campfire had won that election, been put in power, then we wouldn't have had Sylvanas in charge.
To be fair, Vol'jin died. He didn't even get a chance.
Yeah, but that's my point. If it had been a basic campfire, we could just reignited it. And this isn't against Vol'jin or anything. I just think the Horde should be led by a big fire elemental, possibly Ragnaros. I don't know.
But okay, would Ragnaros have legs or not in this situation?
We know he has legs.
And he knows how to use them.
Yeah, you can't. He never begs, but because he knows how to choose them. We can't possibly put the legs back in the bottle. I mean, they're there now. We know he has.
It's canon.
Yeah, but I mean, seriously, like this is the thing. I was writing about 10.0.7 today. This is a little bit of a tangent, but it kind of fits in here. I was writing about it, and I was talking about the fact that we're not going to probably see any fixes to holidays that we've already gone through and won't be seeing for a while. And we're almost certainly not going to see Love in the Air fixes, because Love is in the Air is going to be taking place while 10.0.7 is on the BTR. So it's almost, I can't believe they're going to do any changes to that. But the Midsummer Fire Festival is down the road. It'll be coming out after 10.0.7. And it stars a whole bunch of elementals.
Yeah.
And we're in the expansion about the elementals being crazy.
Yep.
I really think that instead of a Hoon going nuts in Shadow Labs for no particular reason, we could very well have a situation where a Hoon is on Azeroth trying to make his way to some place where he can get to the realm of the fire elementals and kill Ragnaros, who will be back. That's my current prediction for that, by the way, guys.
I'm into it.
What does this have to do with anything we were just talking about, you might ask? Nothing. But I really wanted to say it. So.
But yeah, no, I think the TLDR is popularity contest bad, player engagement good, but I think it's better overall healthy for the game in general if it just continues on as the story creators have it planned. Yeah,
for all we know, neither of them is going to be the aspect.
Yeah, we have no idea.
I'm on Team Ebonhorn over here.
I'm on team basic campfire. I'm going to throw that out there because I honestly don't think any of them should be the aspect. I think that it should be somebody unassuming.
Well, if Abessian gets the job, he's going to be unassuming because he doesn't want it.
Yeah, but he's also going to force the other two to be his advisors.
Yeah.
He's oh man, that would be a terrible job.
Raffion, you're my youth outreach. Go. You understand the young people. Sally forth. Sibelian, yeah, go do egg stuff. You seem to be okay with that. I'm going to sit here and be the spiritual leader of our people. Like, that's what I see happening.
Honestly, I can't remember her name right now. Unfortunately, they haven't done as much with her as I wanted to, but that new broodmother that they have, the snarky black dragon broodmother. No, I didn't lay all these eggs, but I do have to take care of all of them. I feel like she would be a good aspect of the black dragonflight. It's just the tired, put upon, mom of everybody, even other people's kids that just end up being at her house, eating her food and hanging out with her kids. Listen, and she just kind of has to mom all of them. Yeah, listen, that's right there.
Half of these aren't even black dragons. They're not even our clutches, but they just drop them off and I have to babysit them. These red ones are chasing the green ones. The bronze ones just keep blinking out of time. Like, I have no clue where they're going. Then they just pop back up and then they got beards. What's with that? Like, this is too much. Like, yeah,
exactly. That should be the aspect of the black dragonflight.
Oh gosh. I'm really curious to see how this plays out, though, and to see.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do you think this is going to be resolved with any of the story in patch 107? Because that's going to be the first time we're getting new story. You think any of this is going to come up?
I think it's going to come up because I think that both Wrathion and Sibelian are going to be pretty interested in what their dad was doing up on the Forbidden Reach. But I don't know if it's going. I don't think it'll be resolved. Keep in mind that they still have to resolve the green dragonflight thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's stuff coming on that front that has to be resolved. There's a lot of resolution to come. So I am really curious to see if any of it has to do with the next place we're going that's going to be revealed in 10.0.7. I want to know what the new zone is going to be, because they straight up say on the roadmap that, new zone, new dungeon, new raid. It's like, where is this zone? Where are we going?
Yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah, I think that means that we have one more question, and Liz, it's up to you to read it.
Okay, well, this has things I don't know how to pronounce in it that I assume are references to something I'm not familiar with. To the Tyracros?
Triarchos of the cryonic
Triarchos.
states. Yep.
Okay, is that us?
Yeah, that's us.
Is this addressed to us?
It is.
We're not reading someone else's mail?
Correct.
Okay. I am he who is named Jim. I would ask you, what add-ons are the best for healing and raids? How may I procure them? Is there a way to get an add-on that will tell me when an ability is stacked up to full and needs to be used in order to not waste a stack? And why are you cold? Well, I guess
it's really cold here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down in Texas and it was 75 this afternoon. So
for Texas,
yeah. Well, yeah, that is a little chilly for us, but not cold on the grander scale.
I live where the air hurts my face so that the bugs can't kill me.
Okay, that's a fair point.
I live in Canada, which is literally made of ice.
The other nice thing about living somewhere cold is that you don't have to worry about snakes nearly as much as we have to do in the southern parts of the country.
See, this is like the reason why my wife would like to move to the southern parts of that country. It's the only thing she likes about it, but it is the thing she likes.
Yeah, I mean, I had a niece who was bitten by a rattlesnake in her driveway. So I mean, there's ups and downs to this. But yes, we are completely not answering your question at all whatsoever.
I don't know about healing, but I'm going to say for the second question, weak auras? That sounds like a weak auras thing.
It's a weak auras
thing.
I
mean, I would definitely use weak auras for that. If you are not familiar with weak auras, it is kind of like the ultimate add-on to tell you anything about anything in the game. It's just designed to be a customizable system of notifications and trackers. And the really cool thing about it is that for most things you want to know, someone has already made a weak aura for it. So you just download the weak aura add-on, and then you go and you look for something someone has already made for it. They're kind of like little scripts that you plug into weak auras to do specific things. And you can make your own things, but it's a lot easier to grab things other people have already made. And you can make it look like whatever you want. It's like, maybe it's an icon that pops up here. Maybe it's huge and flashy. Maybe it's small and just modest. Maybe it makes a loud air horn noise. You can set it up however you want.
My character, I use it for one of my DPS abilities. I have an ability called Slaughtering Strikes that stacks up to 5, and when it stacks up to 5, Raging Blow does 100% more damage. And what I have it do, since I can't see very well as it is, I don't want anything to be popping up on my screen. So I have it make a noise when it starts building the stack. It goes like, chong, to let me know that the stack is building. And when the stack is at 5, it goes, and that's like, oh, hey, hit buttons. So that's how I use it. I would like to use it more, but I don't understand it well enough yet. I'm probably going to go and spend a little time working on it in the future. But yeah, that's for as for add-ons, that's the one I can answer. I don't know anything about healing add-ons, so you guys are up.
Weak auras is probably one of the most diverse add-ons that has ever existed, and is healer, DPS, and tank friend alike. I'll let Liz give her add-ons of choice for healing before I give mine, because I'm weird in mine, I think.
I mean, I really keep my healing add-ons pretty minimalistic. I think the only thing you really, really need to heal is a good set of unit frames that, show you everyone's health in a clear way that you can easily understand, that show the buffs and debuffs people have that are important to you personally. And I mean, I think that's kind of the thing. I just have some unit frames. I have shadowed unit frames, and I have them set up the way I like them. That's the other thing. There's no perfect out-of-the-box healing solution. It's like, where do you want things on your screen that work for you? How do you want to arrange things? It's really a lot of like interface design. Like, okay, I like having things the important things really center screen, so I can see them without like having to move my eyes a lot. Like I don't have to look over into the far right corner to figure out something. It's like right there in front of me. So really it's just it's unit frames. You got to have some good unit frames configured the way you like them. And that's the big thing. I personally have a lot of mouse over macros, so I can mouse over, any unit frame and like hit a heal hotkey and bang, it just casts the heal on that person. So my healing setup is just unit frames and a lot of mouse over macros. You can also get add-ons that will do your kind of mouse over setup. And I haven't played with it, but there's some mouse over stuff built into the main UI right now, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think mouse over casting or click casting makes it a lot easier. You can get like Voodoo. Voodoo has kind of built-in click casting where it's automatically will set you up with I totally lost my frame of thought there. That will just automatically kind of set you up and be configured for click casting. Like you click on someone, it casts this heal. You right click on someone, it casts that heal. But that's just if you like that style of healing, do that. If you don't like that style of healing, don't do that. It's kind of like there's no perfect answer here. And then I have a ton of weak auras, and mostly those are things I've set up myself to kind of support the things that I forget about and things I need to know about. Once you download weak auras, which from any add-on site that you care to use, like CurseForge, you can go to wago.io, wago.io, and search for weak auras. I'm saying weak auras as the add-on, and also weak auras as the thing you put into the add-on to do specific things, which is kind of confusing now that I'm trying to explain it. But you can go to Wago and search for anything you want to do, and chances are someone has already written a weak aura that will do it. You can just drag it into your client, bang, you have a thing.
Yeah.
Now, you go, Joe.
Yeah, so I run extremely minimal add-ons when it comes to healing. As a matter of fact, healing specific add-ons, I run exactly 0. The only add-on that I run, and I don't even run weak auras, because my healing style is completely just does not have capacity for it. It's weird. My brain fires weirdly like that. Although I will always sing the praise of weak auras, it's not for me. The only thing that I would say is you need to have a unit frame that gives you the information relevant to your playstyle and that you can customize for your visibility. I use Grid. I have been using Grid forever. It allows me to customize how groups are displayed. It allows me to customize how I can view hit points, resource generation, incoming healing to other people on there, so that I don't necessarily try to bomb heal somebody who is already having a bomb heal coming in. And I can also only see debuffs on there that I am capable of removing. So this way I'm not wasting mana trying to purge something that I can't purge, but the game's going to charge me the resource cost for anyway. So I would say finding a unit frame that works for you is paramount. Whether it's the in-game one, whether it's Shadow Unit Frame, whether it's Grid, whether it's Voodoo, there's tons of great options for it. Even the in-game one has greatly improved over the years. I still personally would not use it, but if it fits your needs, by all means, go through and customize it. The other thing that I would say is not necessarily an add-on, but Liz had sort of a point that she made that has always been a thing of me, is clear visibility. As a healer, you need not just to have clear visibility to your unit frames, but of what's going around in the raid and where people are or what content you're healing. So the more visibility you can give yourself, paring down the UI and not having a cluttered UI is something that's really, really, really important. In previous years, I would have suggested an add-on called Move Anything. Now in Dragonflight, you don't need it. Literally built into the UI is the ability to edit and push anything wherever you want it. It doesn't matter where it is. You can resize just about everything, snap to grids. You can change the grid size. They've done a phenomenal job on the base UI to try to make it as player accessible as possible. But other than that, there's not much that I personally can recommend Although, like I said, going to your last point, ability stacks and things like that, weak auras is king. It is absolutely amazing for that to know when things are fully charged, when you have different stacks of things. It's also really great for tracking trinkets. There are certain trinkets that you have available that will, like what is it? The Broodkeeper's Promise is the one that Liz and I have been using, which increases stats and healing based off the proximity of who you make your BFF. So like having a weak aura that tells you whether you're within that distance to get the maximum return is kind of important sometimes. But that's really about it that I can recommend out of hand. Oh, a good cooldown tracking add-on is probably I would say is recommended as well. While you have, go ahead.
I use weak auras for cooldown tracking. I just have weak auras set up to like pop things up. Yeah,
I was just gonna say, but you can use weak auras to track your cooldowns. But like when you want to know, like in my case, because I'm a Resto Shaman, when Healing Tide is off cooldown or Mana Tide Totem is off cooldown, I want to know when that's available. I have an audio cue that plays when they're available, and that's just built into Aura, I believe, is where I have it. But like I'm an audio cue person. Like that's what my key for me is. And I think you can do that in weak auras as well, where it'll play a sound for you to let you know, not necessarily just have something flashing on screen. So something that lets you track your cooldowns, highly recommended. And you can do that in weak auras. Very versatile.
I mean, I think customization is key here because all of us process information differently and all of us kind of, navigate our screen in front of us differently. So I've spent a lot of time and thought, making sure the notifications that I get, that I've set up, the things that have audio notifications, the things that have visual notifications, where the notifications are and how big they are kind of designed around how I play. It's like, okay, I notice, I'm not hitting this cooldown frequently enough. I'm going to make it pop up here in this really visible place. I'm going to make it play a sound. So even if I'm not looking over there, I know. But at the same time, I don't set up sounds for everything because that would be information overload. And then I'm going to start missing things. And I don't have pop-ups for everything because some things I'm just like, I know to hit that and I don't need reminders. So it's like completely set up to support me specifically. I just don't think there's any one size fits all. And that's kind of a lousy answer. That's not necessarily very helpful, but you got to have a setup that works for you. And that covers healing, that covers everything. Somebody say something.
But apparently I kept forgetting that I was not putting the right button. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it for the week. Unless you guys have anything else you want to say on that subject. We're going to have Joe do his outro, and then we will do the last outro, and we will then go out. So,
all right. Well then, friends, Blizzard Watch is made possible due to the generous contributions at patreon.com/BlizzardWatch. Your continued support means that this podcast site and community is able to thrive and grow. Blizzard Watch supporters enjoy exclusive benefits like early access to the podcast, better chance of having your question answered on our podcast or the queue, and an ads-free site experience.
Thank you very much, Joe. Again, guys, if you have a question for the show, you can send it to our email at podcast@blizzardwatch.com, subject line podcast with Blizzard Watch, so we know it's for this show. Or you can go to our Discord. We've got the Patron Q and Podcast Questions channel for patrons, or the Q and Podcast Questions channel for non-patrons. Although I suppose patrons could use it too. Yeah, do what you like. But regardless, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you to Joe and Liz for making the show possible and much more entertaining. And thank you to everybody else for being you. Thanks. It's appreciated. This has been the Blizzard Watch podcast, and we'll see you next week.